go on to our second recipe. And this is the ginger turmeric broth with mushroom wontons. And this is a flavorful soup that's simple and quick to make, and also you can freeze it in advance and then just take it out when you need it for the holidays. Excellent source of plant protein for this one with the tofu. And as we discussed in our first recipe, having some protein as part of the meal can help to reduce the fatigue and provide longer lasting energy. Protein is also very important for healing, especially if you're undergoing treatment. It's also important for muscle building, maintaining your muscle, which is important for mobility and function. So we're getting a good dose of that in this meal. And it's also possible that when your appetite is poor, you're not getting enough nutrition. And so trying to focus on protein intake, getting some protein at each meal of the day is important, because that in and of itself can also help to reduce fatigue. And then lastly, while Jeremy's over here in the sink, the other important nutrient or food item or fluid is water. And so since soups are mostly liquid, we are getting closer to meeting our hydration needs for the day. If you're dehydrated, sometimes that can also be connected with fatigue. So sometimes I talk to people and say, if you're feeling sluggish and tired, maybe one thing to consider is, did you drink enough today? Because sometimes that's what goes out the window. So soup, I know it's Jamie Oliver now? Jeremy's favorite way of increasing his fluid intake, right?
Yeah, I love it. Just because it's a little more flavorful, I guess, than regular water. All right.
And we see we have his favorite item here, parchment paper.
Okay, so we ready to roll?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Over to you.
Okay, so we're making these little versions of a wonton. It's not like a traditional wonton, but I love making these. We make these at George Brown. The college with our students all the time, and it's so much fun. And I think it's a nice way to create something that's a little more special. But again, by doing them in advance, we don't have to stress about doing them the day of, right? No one wants to wrap up 20 wontons the day of, right before our guests show up or bring them over, right? So this is an easy thing that we can do in advance. Sorry?
Make the guests do it?
Make the guests do it.
Yes.
That's a good idea
Actually,
too.
that's a good idea. Have a pre-holiday meal party where you all... Yeah, I like that idea.
I love that. All right, so I'm going to start with the filling for wontons. This is a mushroom filling. You can make the filling out of anything. We're going with something a little more plant-based today. I love the sort of meatiness and this really nice savoriness that you get from dried mushrooms, especially. So a quarter cup of dried mushrooms. You can use any dried mushrooms you want. Shiitake. I have some black trumpet mushrooms here, and it's like a mix. It looks like there's like some chanterelle, maybe some shiitake. They come in like a little bag, and you don't need a lot, like a quarter cup. You don't need too much. You can definitely use fresh as well, but you definitely get a lot more flavor from these. And all we have to do with our dried mushrooms is soak them in, like we're making a tea, soak them in some hot water. So like steep them for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and what you get is this beautiful flavored liquid afterwards. So because of the black trumpet mushrooms, it's a little bit darker. If you're just using like the lighter mushrooms, you get like a golden color. But this is so flavorful. So we've made almost like a natural mushroom stock or broth just by using the dried mushrooms, right? So we're getting 2 products out of the one, which is nice. So we'll save this.
We had some questions.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that you could see me in the camera doing that. We had some questions from the first recipe. I don't know if you want to...
I'll circle back.
To the end?
Yeah. I'll circle back. I see you. I'll circle back. All right. So dried mushrooms, after they've been soaked, nice and soft, we'll go into our food processor. If we don't have a food processor, we can definitely chop this up by hand as well, for sure. Okay. The scallions. So we're using some green onions. The bottom part, so the white part in the bottom, you can slice that and use that as a garnish. At the end, all the green parts are going to go in. I have a clove of garlic and about a tablespoon of fresh ginger. That's going to go inside as well. Any aromatics, anything to make this really, really tasty, go for it. Okay, you do not have to follow exactly what I'm doing here. And I want to start by pulsing this up, breaking this down a little bit first before I introduce the rest of my ingredients. Just to break it up a little bit.
We're using pencil vinegar.
All right, so broken up, and just by pulsing it, I know you can probably smell the ginger and the garlic.
Let me see, what do I smell? Oh, I smell the garlic.
The ginger for sure.
A little bit of the ginger, but there's something else I'm smelling. Oh, the mushrooms. The mushrooms.
There you go. And we'll add some other flavors to this as well. So I have a little bit of hoisin sauce. We're gonna get a little bit of that sweet, a little bit of that savory, a little bit of that saltiness in there as well. And one of my favorite ingredients. This is black vinegar. You might see this Chinese black vinegar. There's a few different varieties that you can find. This is incredible. This is like, for me, a must-have in the pantry. It is a great way to really add a nice depth of flavor to your dishes. You can add it to broths, you can add it to dipping sauces, you can add it to fillings. It is essentially like a fermented malted grain, usually rice, depending on what variety you get it. It might come from a different part of China. This one here is from just a rice that's fermented, and it has this really incredible maltiness to it. You can find it in Toronto. You can probably find it in more grocery stores now. Definitely, if you go to like a T&T or something like that, you'll definitely get it. But this is, I think this should be one of the most popular condiments out there right now. So good.
So of course, I had to do some research on it already. If you got it right, fermented rice, unpolished black or brown rice.
Yeah.
What's also interesting is that it may contain polyphenols, and polyphenols are a type of antioxidant. So you're getting some added benefit from the brown, the black, not the brown, the black vinegar.
Awesome. Okay, so that is going in, and then for my protein, we'll add some tofu. You can use extra firm or medium. Those crumble up really nicely. I don't want to make the mixture too wet. Okay, so the firmer tofus tend to have more of the water out of it, and then you can give it an extra squeeze with some paper towel just to get some of that excess water out. And again, the food processor, it will do most of the work for me. So just want to make it fit inside. And then...
Oh, question
Yes.
from the audience.
Can we use cottage cheese?
Yeah.
Firm cottage cheese instead?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use a firm cottage cheese. You can use a minced chicken, like if you want to use an animal-based protein, you can definitely use that as well, for sure.
And you know what the quick and easy dirty thing is for minced chicken? I'll see what Jeremy thinks of this. But
Yes.
you could buy the toddler meats, right? Like it's already broken down.
Oh, yeah.
And there aren't any additives to it. So just, you know what you have for instead of, not the babies, but the toddlers.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little bit,
Yeah.
It sounds weird, but if we're looking at convenience.
For sure.
Exactly.
Great. Yeah, awesome suggestion. All right, pulse it up again until it pretty much looks like a mince, okay? You might need to stuff, if you're using a food processor, you might need to just scrape down the sides once or twice, but it should take 30 seconds in total. Yeah, that's it. So, we have our little mince ready to go. It doesn't look the prettiest, but it's going to taste incredible, and it also smells unbelievable. Again, this is a filling that you can make in advance. So if you know what, I only have time and energy to whip the filling together today, and that's what I'm doing. This can go into a Tupperware, and it can go into the fridge for 2 to 3 days. No problem. The flavors will start to incorporate a little bit better.
Can it go in the freezer, or you
can go in, you could definitely do it
further advance?
You can definitely do it in the freezer, and then you would just defrost it. You might get some moisture separation.
Moisture.
But that's okay. You can let that drain off because I actually don't want too much moisture.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Just thinking, you don't want to do everything the day before now or 2 days before. So
Yeah.
maybe there's some things you can do in advance.
Yeah. All right. So we have our filling ready to go, and that can go in the fridge if I'm not using it right away. If I am, then we are ready to make our little wontons, and we need our wrappers. Do you want to make your dough from scratch? Go for it. Absolutely. This is why they make these wrappers, so we don't have to. And again, you can, almost every grocery store should have these now accessible. Yes, question.
Are those similar to like egg roll wrappers?
A little bit. So this would be with just flour. This you can steam. The egg roll wrappers, depending on the ones you get, you may have to. Most of them are intended to be fried, but some of them are thin enough that you can use it the same way. But these ones will be dumpling wrappers. They should be like wonton wrappers or dumpling wrappers.
They're a little different.
A little thinner.
consistency.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
All
Yeah.
right.
Really, really nice and thin. And
And
this,
here I thought you were going to be doing it from scratch.
yeah, no. These are so good. And like if I was making even like a ravioli or a pasta from scratch, right? Or if I just want something as like a filled, dumpling, these are a great alternative to that as well because I can make whatever filling I want and then put them inside. So
cool. It also has some protein. So yeah,
So
7 grams
yes,
per wrapper.
per wrapper,
Per one, right?
one,
Per one.
maybe one
all of
package,
One package.
maybe one package.
Yeah, because per wrapper.
Yeah, that
Why
would
isn't
be,
it a
yeah. One package makes a little.
one package?
One package.
Okay. Otherwise, it would be a protein supplement that we all be taking in.
All right, so you can do these one at a time. The key is you don't want them to dry out. Luckily, these don't dry out too fast, but you can just sort of keep whatever you're not using in the package. These freeze really well, so you can throw them in the freezer. Like just wrap them up really well. You can throw them in the freezer and defrost whenever you need to use it. I'll show you how to do. We'll do 6 now. But when I was doing it this morning, I was doing like 24 time, and this is a nice little technique that I learned from somebody. So essentially, what you want to do is get a little bit of water. You can use a brush. You can use your finger, and you want to wet the edge, right? If I'm doing a lot at once, that's going to take a hell of a lot of time. So I use my little spray bottle with my water, and I just mist the top. I only need a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Missed the top. So now that took much less time. We're going to take about a teaspoon of my mixture. I don't want to overfill it. Okay. Just show you as an example. I'll do one as an example, and then maybe I'll throw it back to you. All right. So we're filling in the middle, and then what we want to do is we're using our fingers. We're going to take the back, and we're going to roll it up to the front, and then use sort of the edge of my thumb to squeeze out the air. Okay? And just gently press it down. Because of that water that's on there, it'll act like a glue. Okay? Now, if I want to, from here, I can turn this into whatever shape I want. If I want to go a little more traditional, and so you can wrap them all up like that. We'll go a little spray. I can take those ends like this and then overlap them like that and just pinch. And we have our little sort of wonton little dumpling ready to go. But festive time, I found a fun way to wrap these up so that they look a little different.
Like Christmas hats?
Yeah, not Christmas hats. No, watch. So I'll do a couple here. So again, back, roll it over the front. Try not to get any of that filling on the edge, otherwise it won't seal. That seal will open up. But use your thumbs to sort of make sure all the air is out, right? And then back to that water. Just a little spritz. And then I'll roll it over like this. Press down, and then just pinch the end so it looks like a little almost like a little candy, a little
little candy,
caramel, or a little
a teeny tiny
Christmas cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So flip, pinch.
When did you come up with that?
So
While you were sleeping?
no, this is there's a pasta that's made like this called the caramella, which
Yeah,
is
true.
a caramel or a candy, and I'm like it looks so festive, right? So
Yeah.
it's something a little bit
That's
different.
great.
And you can do whatever sort of shape you want with that. All right, I'll wrap the last of these up. And pinch the ends.
We talk sometimes about mindful eating, and Jeremy introduced me to mindful cooking. So this looks like it would be, with some music in the background, just making a few. Were you feeling very mindful this morning when you made 24?
Not so much. We had a show today to prepare for it. But yes, you're right. This can be definitely an opportunity to zone out a little bit. Okay, last one there. So I've just made a few. For example, if we're ready to cook these from fresh, they take like 1 minute to 2 minutes. They don't take long at all into our boiling water. But like I said, these can be made in advance and then frozen. And I love freezing these because they're so much easier to manage, right? You have all your little wontons ready to use. Once you freeze them individually solid like this, then transfer them to a freezer bag. Okay, don't put them all in a freezer bag, and then because you're gonna have one giant wonton, everything's gonna be stuck together. Yeah, but freeze them individually, and then once they're like this, and putting them on the parchment just makes it really easy to take off. You can transfer all of these into a freezer bag, and then use them whenever you need to use them. And as long as they're sealed and you don't have a lot of air exposure, these will last like 3 months, no problem, in the freezer.
And probably the other thing, like we're standing up in the kitchen, you're doing this standing up, but there's nothing stopping you from going to the table and sitting down, or if you have a counter, sitting down, and that might also help to conserve some energy.
Yes.
Which is probably the way I.
That's a good tip with the freezing. I do that with my fruit. Don't do that with my fruit, and then I get
The
a
clump?
clump of berries.
Yes.
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 Oh yes. Yeah.
Or
Freeze.
a clump of bananas.
Yeah. Now, depending on the size of your freezer, it might be hard, but like get a tray that you know, okay, this will fit in my freezer, something flat. And then if you're freezing fruit, if you're freezing dumplings, if you made little meatballs, whatever it is, flat, frozen solid, and then you can transfer it afterwards. Yeah, anything that you can freeze will just save you for those days where, just don't feel like doing prep, don't have the energy to do prep. Okay.
Any questions? I'm just wondering.
So I'll get back. So,
just-
how much water, hazelnuts?
Oh, that was
yeah.
I just wondered for the second recipe.
No, not
Right.
yet.
No.
I didn't
Okay.
forget you. I will get back to your question. All right, so we have, whether we froze them, the wrappers, or made them in advance, we can go ahead and put these in some boiling water when we're ready to cook it. I'll throw it in now, just so we can finish the dish. Let me take the bowl.
When you mix the wonton or sort of the it's just a matter that it's just bind the together.
Yes, exactly. It's like a glue.
Yeah.
So it's already dusted with like a fine flour on top. So once you add the water, it just helps it to stick together. That's it. And you don't need a lot. And you don't need that. If you're doing a lot, I just find it a lot easier. You can just use either a brush or just dab your finger in some water and sort of just dab the corners. Anything that you want to attach to stick together, just a little bit of water and a little bit of pressure, and it'll stick together. No, not for these.
Yeah.
For pasta, you usually do, but because this is already sort of dusted, then you don't need to. Just water over. Okay, so about a minute or two until they start to bob up, and then for our broth that we're going to serve it with, I want to make this simple. I don't want to fuss too much, but flavor is important. So what I'm doing is bring some water to a boil, and we're going to add 2 aromatics. It's going to give some really nice flavor, some really nice color. There's some ginger here, just some fresh ginger. You can use ground ginger as well. And this is turmeric. This is fresh turmeric, which is a root. It's a tuber, just like the ginger. And so when you peel it, you have a really nice, very typical orange, vibrant color. But the aroma, it's not as intense and almost slightly bitter as your ground. It has this like freshness, very similar to ginger that you get when you use the fresh. You can use either or. If I'm using fresh, we're using about a tablespoon of fresh, tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, depends on how much you're making. And if I'm using dried, we'll use about half of that ground. Okay. And essentially what we'll do is take some of the ginger. Once that water starts boiling, we'll grate it
Just grate it right over top, saving
right over
another.
top. Yeah. I don't know what my hair is doing today. It's just wants to get over my eyes. And I'll throw some of that ginger in there as well. Really nice and fresh. And then you can use a chicken broth. You can use vegetable broth for this, or in a pinch, what I like to use is even like a little bit of miso, paste. You can throw it in because it's going to give you that nice flavor. But whatever you want, even like a no sodium bouillon or low sodium bouillon, just to make it easy for you, right? Sometimes those convenient products can really be helpful.
I do like the mix of the ginger and the turmeric, right? Like the ginger also, we're talking about fatigue, but there's also, if you're feeling a bit nauseated or just unwell, can help you feel a little bit better. It can help with digestion too, and the feeling of nausea. And then turmeric, we hear a lot about the benefits of the curcumin, which is the active ingredient in there. So it can have a little bit of an anti-inflammatory effect. Could also act as an antioxidant, which can help to mop up what we call free radicals, or those unstable molecules that happen just through stress, aging, treatment, right? So it can help with that. And our favorite, can I go on? Yeah.
May I have your attention, please?
No, I can't.
Code white, ground floor, Gerard Wing, Chemo West.
Sorry.
Code white, ground floor, Gerard Wing, Chemo West. Code white, ground floor, Gerard Wing, Chemo West.
So what I was going to say, Jeremy and I like to have our food power couples. I don't know, are they going to say it again? Okay. So the turmeric, if you couple the turmeric together with black pepper, some of you are familiar with this combination. So if there's a little black pepper in there, the piperine, which is the active ingredient in black pepper, helps you absorb 2,000% more. 2,000% more. I had to look that up a few times, right?
Incredible.
To verify that, of the curcumin in the turmeric. So putting just a little bit of black pepper is helpful.
Should it be in a pan, like frying, or is it enough that if I just mix them and add it to a milk and put it in the microwave? It works again the same?
Yeah, it works the same. Yeah, the way,
And do you have to have it in the same meal, or
That's a good question.
can I have like one thing?
I think it may be better in the same meal,
okay.
but I'll have to look that up for everybody. That I'm not 100% sure.
All right. So ginger, turmeric. If you've added some miso or some sort of broth, and then don't forget you have that mushroom broth. They're really, really nice and flavorful mushroom broth. Add that as well, just to fortify it. It's going to taste incredible. And then we've removed our little wontons. You can do about 3 to 4 per person. I put them all in here, so we have 6. It's the holidays, and then we're going to ladle, and it has this, like, just from the turmeric, this incredible golden color.
And the broth is also something you can make ahead, right? So
Absolutely, yeah. All of this is intended to, be designed so that you can make it, freeze it. The broth you could freeze, or again, it's just the ginger and the turmeric, so you can do it the day of. You can definitely do it in advance, and then some of those green onion tops. We'll throw in.
is your mouth watering?
Our festive mushroom wontons here with their ginger turmeric broth. We'll sort of lift one of these wontons out here. Love the little ends.
The little bonbons.
Little bonbons.